Hi Year 11s, this is a video to show you how to create working drawings from an OnShape file. So what I have in front of me is an example which I'm going to show you how to do each little section. Yours won't look exactly like this because I've just put as much as I can on one page. So yours will be slightly different and it depends on your particular design. So basically you open up your OnShape design option, and if it's in individual parts, then that's fine. We can do a working drawing for each part, which we'll end up doing anyway, but we can do it as one whole design as well. So the way I've drawn this particular design, hopefully that's the same way as you've done yours. Each is a new part, because essentially it's basically just like a piece of wood. So every part is its own part essentially. So from our main design, we're going to go to the bottom left of the screen and there's a little plus sign. So it says insert new element. So if I click on that, one of the options is to create a drawing, which is what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to click on that. And I've just found it easier to go to custom templates, change to iOS or ISO, and that'll change it to millimeters. You can change the page size, but we can leave it as A4, that's okay. And you don't need to change anything else, just go OK. And it will load a blank page essentially. And because we're in that particular file already, you can see that it's brought up all the different parts that I have. So that's what makes up my entire design, all of these parts. What I want to do first is just do a working drawing with everything all together. So if I click on this little part, this little button here which says Part Studios, it will bring up basically an assembly. It'll bring up what it looks like at the moment with all the parts put together. So if I click, just one click, left click on that, and it'll show me what the view is going to look like. So this is obviously the front of it. So what I'm going to do is just click once and it's going to basically place that front view there, and then if I move my mouse over to the side and click again, it'll give me that view on the right hand side. So I want to do a top view as well, and I'm going to do a isometric view as well off to the side. So at the moment I've still got this projected view button clicked on. Okay, so I want to keep that on. So basically what that means is if I click on a view and then I can create another projection. So I've just clicked on my main front view and now I've just moved up. So now when I click again, it'll give me that top view. So that's the top view of my shoe rack. And again, it's still selected. So I'm going to click on my main view again and come out to the side. So like a 45-degree angle. And I'm going to create this isometric view, basically like a 3D view of my entire project. What I want to do is just untick that now. So now I can do other things, or you can press escape, either way. First thing I'm going to show you is if I left click on any of these, it will highlight all of them. So I just want to left click on my projected view and I'm going to right click. And first thing I'm going to do is show shaded view. Sorry, I couldn't find it. So the top option. So that'll just make like a rendered version of it. Next, I want to show you how we can add detail to this. So probably the most important thing about a working drawing is measurements. So given that this is a full version of my particular project, I'm just going to put some really basic measurements on this and then do some detailed measurements on each of the parts. So to add measurements, it's just like using Smart Dimensions anywhere else. I'm going to click on the Dimension button up the top, and I can click on one point or one line. So what I want to do is do like a full measurement from top to the bottom, and just click once, click again, and then click off to the side. I'm going to do a measurement of this bottom line, so I'm just going to click on the bottom line. There's one solid line. And I will do a measurement from this other angle as well. So it's a bit of a rough measurement, and realistically when I actually make it, it's probably not going to be 411.75. It's just in the model that this particular piece that I drew, I didn't Smart Dimension it. So if you've got a measurement that is not right, you can get out of dimension. So I've just pressed escape, and we can actually double click on the number and set it to be something else. So it's not going to change the actual model, it's just going to change our working drawing. So in reality, that's probably going to be 410 mil. So I've just pressed enter, so I can just click anywhere else. It does put a little underline underneath it to show that it's been changed, but it doesn't matter. That is the measurement that we would like. Other things that we can do is we can show hidden detail. Now, because my model is basically lots of slats put together, when I turn on hidden detail, it just looks a little bit messy. But if you've got maybe some, one thing that is behind the other and you want to show hidden detail, again, we just left click on a particular view and then right click to bring up the other options. And we can show or hide sketches. Show hidden lines. Again, the top one. So if I do that, it will basically show hidden detail that we obviously can't see from the very, very front. But these are all like the extra pieces that are behind that front view. So showing hidden detail is quite helpful. Also, what we can do is create like a zoomed view of a certain part. So let's say you've got a particular join that you want to show in like a zoomed version. We can do that with this detailed view button. So I'm going to click on that, and then what I can do is click in like the center of where I want that hidden the detailed view to be. So left click once, and then I just move my mouse out, and then when I click again, it'll give me this like projected view, which I can then put off to the side. So I'm going to put that over there, and then just let that load. So then it's got what scale it is. So it's 1 to 6, and it's just got like a little label. So if you've got more than one, then it'll label it up for you. So that's quite handy if you've got like maybe some hidden detail that you want to make more prominent in the working drawing. Also, what we can do in here is we can create a table and then create like label each of the parts. So and we can add text as well. So I'll show you how to do text. Text is pretty easy. It's basically a note. So get the note button, and then wherever I click is where it'll create it. And I would like to just label front view, and you could do side view, top view. You could do that in here. To add like a little, so it's called a call out. So basically it's like a little bubble that you can create. So this little note in here, we can change like what that says. So I think I'm just going to put just a number, and then we should be able to change the number as we go along. You can change how big the circle is as well. So I might just make it a little bit bigger, and you can change what it looks like. But I'll just show you what the circle looks like. So basically, I just want to label up each of the parts, and I can either just click on like a part and it'll create well, exactly what it looks like there. It'll create that circle with the number 1 in the middle of it. If I kind of move my mouse over to the edge of the part, I can create like an arrow and then pointing to that part. So I can change in the little menu bit like 2, so then I can do a second part. So I might do this as my second part. And 3 would be this one. And then obviously I can do 4 for the bottom one. And then all of these slats are basically the same measurements. So then I can make just one of them, number 4, and pop that over there. And number 5 is the last one. So that's just like labeling up my different parts. And then if I wanted to, I could add a table. I could add one in here, or I can create my own table and then just put it into this after I take a screenshot of it, but I can use it here. So what I want to do is just basically label all of these parts just to make it a bit easier later. So I'm going to eventually have 5 parts, so I need 6 rows and 2 columns is fine. And okay that, and then it'll let me type into the box just like a normal table. So I can go so number and parts. So I'm just pressing tab. So number 1, what part is that? That is 1, 2, 3, third tier side. And I can call it whatever I wanted to call it. So like mine's a little bit more complicated than what your design might be, but essentially I've got 4 different sections that make up one side, so I can label them however I want to, and then just nominate which number it is, so then I know for later which one is which. So that'd be a bit helpful for like our next step. So this is like our big overall working drawing. Okay, so I'm going to leave that as is, and I'm going to create a new drawing and focus on just individual parts this time. So this is where I need to put a lot more measurements, because essentially you should be able to give someone your working drawings and your production plan after we make those, and they should be able to make your project. So because all my parts are here, I can basically just take individual parts and create my working drawing from there. So this is giving me side view. So I'm going to click over there and then bring this across. So I get a basically front view of the piece. And I can do a top view as well. And I should also be able to do a side view from this side because it'll look slightly different because it's on an angle. And I'm going to do a projected view as well. If I put it down here, it will be the right way around. Cool, so if I turn that off, it means that I can now just kind of move these around and then play around with the setting and make it look okay. Just remember that if you click on multiple things, it will move both of them at the same time. So if you don't want that to happen, make sure that you deselect whatever it is that you've selected. All right, let's just put them there for a second and just move that up there. So now I can play around with whatever looks good. So maybe this particular view, I might want to show hidden detail on this view, and maybe the same for the top view as well. It just depends on your particular design, but the main point is to put as much detail dimensions wise onto these individual parts. So some parts might only need 4 measurements, like a length and a width and a thickness, so 3 measurements. So for my particular design, I'm going to need a few more measurements. So obviously I need that, and this. I can also do a measurement from this point to this point to get that total measurement. So you can see wherever I move my mouse, it'll create different measurements. So like this measurement, for example, is the height from that point up. So maybe that's a really helpful measurement for me. Or I can change it to be like this measurement from there to there, but I've already got that down the bottom, so I don't need that. And then the other option, because it's a diagonal line, is to get a measurement from the top to the bottom, which would be helpful, so I need that. And I can always change that to just get rid of the 0.02 in a minute. And I obviously want the measurements for all of these little inside parts as well. So try and not clutter too much in one space. So this particular measurement, I can actually get rid of that, and I can get the same measurement from here and put it over there. And now I can have more room to do all these measurements. So like that, and this measurement. And I could also do like a measurement from there to there and there to there, there to there. So this obviously needs more measurements than probably what my other pieces need. And you could, no, that's okay. I don't think anyone else is going to have anything more complicated than this. So just put as many measurements as you need. You don't need to double up on any measurements. So just think about the projection view and what it's actually projecting. Because I've already got that 240 there, I don't need this 240 measurement again, because it's the same width, it's the same measurement. So try not to do multiple versions of the same measurement, and try not to overlap too much as well. So just to show you that, mostly they're going to be a lot simpler than that. So for example, the rectangle slats that I have are a lot simpler. And so like one of these parts, for example. So we're going to start with the front view, and then I need just a side view. And realistically, I don't really even need a top view, but I can put that in there anyway, because it's the same thickness as the side view. And really the only measurements I need are the length and the width and the thickness. And that's about it. So if you find that you actually don't need like a particular view, you can get rid of that. And you could either here or on OneNote, you could add a separate note as to what piece this is. So if you've got a table on like the very, very first lot of drawings, like here, then use the same part name and you know, put that onto each of the separate working drawings, just to make it a bit more easier. When we start doing your production plan, you can refer to like those parts by their names, just to make it a bit easier. So that's essentially working drawings. There's heaps of other things that we can do. Like through here, we can do like section views, and you can crop different images. But I think that will be enough for what we need to do. If there's anything that I haven't covered that you need to do or want to do in yours, then just come and ask. But other than that, make sure you've got a full working drawing of like the whole design option, your final design, and then like a separate working drawing for each of the parts, so we get all of those measurements so we can use them down the track. Thanks.